All right, one more time. And in this one, we are going to be doing our best to dissect this race that I was somehow fortunate enough to win. And for those of you who follow this channel will know that that is not something that happens very often. Given the fact that I spent my time getting destroyed mostly in the advanced layer, I got bumped down for this one here. I managed to fifth place in the other race I did in the second tier, and I was hoping to do something similar in this one. This route was a lot different than what we're usually seeing because basically, I think a lot of the races that we're doing in these series are predominantly flat with sprint finishes. And while this could obviously be a fast finish, it's not going to be a sprint finish because basically what we're doing right out of the gate here, as you can see in the profile, we're going straight up the kicker and we're going to be finishing up that thing too. So in essence, this is going to be, it might still be a sprint, but that's what I'm thinking anyhow. But I know that, the real decision is going to be down to who's got the best 1 minute power, 1.5 minute power going up that thing, depending on when it kicks. But I'm still a little worried about this one because, like I said, we're going straight out of the gate. We're going to go up that thing the first time around, which is what we're doing at this moment. And I've been in races before where this has been pretty much ret numbers right from this very spot into to the top, which can really predict the outcome for how the rest of your race is going to be if you're going to have to go that deep that early. But it's not going to be anything like that at all. As you can see, it's going to be all about 5.5, 6.0. This is the steeper section. The second it levels out a little bit, the watts go down as well. So while we're still going at a reasonable pace heading up this one the first time around, it's not going to be crazy in any way, which is a good thing. A few stragglers falling off the back there, but no major selection is made at this point, and everybody's just pretty much taking it pretty easy. So coming over to the summit here, like I said, no real selection and things a little bit stretched out. Somebody's trying to go. But everything's going to come back together here on the downhill. Big bunch. If you want to get away from somebody, you're going to have to put in a lot of effort, and nobody's really interested in doing this at this point here. So things are going to come back together again. Making our way onto the urban section of this map here, we do a single lap of the Glasgow crit route. We have a couple of teammates here who are trying to get away, but as soon as the road goes downhill just a little bit, this bunch is going to roll a lot faster than they can do without putting out tons of power. And basically, both of them are just thinking it better of it and allow themselves to be swallowed up again, which is probably the wisest move at this point. Section again, it kind of goes uphill the entire way for a good kilometer or so. Somebody's trying to put a little bit of pressure on, but basically what you're looking at is what we're doing right now is about 4.0, 4.5. Nobody in this bunch is going to have any trouble doing that, and nobody's going to get spat out the back or get sufficiently worn out to make a difference. So it's all going to stay together at this point here as we get ready for the shall we say more rolling part of the track there. We're going to be doing 4 laps down around Nessie there. So there's a little bit of a kicker. Sometimes somebody's able to use that for something. Somebody's trying to get away here again, but we got a guy with some sticky watts there who responds pretty quickly, and guy out in front, he's not really, his heart's really not in it at this point here, so things are going to come back together again pretty quickly. Coming through the roundabout here as we head out back into the countryside, as you can see, we have one guy off the front. This is probably the worst place you can go on this route because we have I wouldn't say long, but an extended downward slope to the corkscrew here where it drops 1%, 2%, 3%, and an even bigger drop heading into the actual climb. It's not that you cannot get away at this point here if you're a really strong guy or gal. It's definitely possible, but it just takes so much more effort than the peloton is actually putting out at this point. Because you can see we're just cruising, and we're still maintaining 44, 45, And guy out front, well, maybe he can do 50 around this part if he does 4.5 watts per kilogram. And we're still not even halfway through the race. This is still a big bunch. And the road's going to come down even further heading into the corkscrew. So would advise against.
I think that's one of the two guys who broke away earlier. So.
And coming onto the corkscrew itself, you can see the guy's not been able to get himself any sort of meaningful gap, really. And, you know, when it kicks like this and people are putting down big numbers, that's when the gaps really come down quickly. So, again, I'll give the guy kudos for trying, but I think it's also an example of how not to ride this course. I'm a little apprehensive with going too deep here. I was kind of afraid that people were going to go ret numbers from bottom to top, but it's nothing like that. As soon as the road just levels out here, everybody just stays off the pedals and everybody catching their breaths again, and nothing really changes here. We're having to do 4 laps on this particular section. This has this one kicker going up to the finish line, and I kind of get caught napping here on the second go round. As you can see, somebody's trying to brake. You know, when it kicks up about 4 or 5%, being off the pedals is not the best move. I mean, you're not going to get dropped, but you're going to have to put out more power than you actually want to just to get over the top. And basically what I'm looking at here is my strategy is just to conserve as much power as I possibly can, staying out of the wind and don't have to close any foolish gaps that just appear in front of me because I'm not paying attention. I know that the race is going to be decided on the last climb and the last climb only. So I'm basically trying to do as little work as possible. And just falling asleep at the wheel right there is not going to help that. So final time around here, coming into the 5% uphill, I decide to hit it with a little bit more speed, putting out power early on the climb. And that basically just keeps me at the front and lets me get off the pedals sooner than I would have had to on the other go rounds. So kind of happy with this at this point. We got one guy trying to break away there, but unless he can stay away with about 5.0 to the finish line from here, it's just not going to happen. It's still a big bunch, and there's still some downhill to come and that we need to actually navigate. And just having a look at him here, see what he's actually doing. But he's easing off the pedals too, so he's thinking better of it. Probably just a workout for a segment or something like that. At any rate, it does not appear to be a serious attack. So coming out of this section one more time, we're going to be doing the corkscrew reverse. We got a pretty good kick right here, so we got 3 guys up ahead of us. I just decided to go red numbers all at once and just close this gap immediately, get everybody back together for the downhill. Don't want to get caught out of anything. This is not really costing me anything. Of course, I don't want to do too many of these efforts here, but just making this one is not going to be much of an issue. And as you can see, the guy in front there is he's definitely exploiting his sticky watts. I was looking at his power numbers after the race. It was totally insane, but it really doesn't seem to get him anywhere because he is so extreme in those sticky watts. He will go ret numbers on, and then he will go zeros for a good 1-2 seconds. So it's not really getting him anywhere. I don't understand why he's doing this. At any rate, things are pretty much back together again. We may lose 2 or 3 riders, as you can see on the map, but no real selection is made, and basically, like I said in the beginning, it's all going to come down to what happens on the finishing climb there. That said, though, if you look at the profile up in the right corner there, this thing might end up in a 1-kilometer climb, but basically the last 3 kilometers is one long climb, really. It's not steep by any means, but if you ride this section hard, somebody really decides to put down the power, you can definitely make people hurt and be in the red when they actually hit the final climb. But this being not the advanced layer, nobody really possesses this sort of power in this pack here. So thankfully, it's being written at I wouldn't say hard, it's being written at a high but steady pace, which is around these 4.5, 5.0. And while that's not a comfortable pace for me, it's certainly maintainable for a while. So coming on to the final climb, as you can see, we have one guy out in front there with a gap of maybe 1-2 seconds as we hit the steeper part of this one. And some people are going red numbers basically from the get-go. I panic a little bit and go red numbers as well as I get up to speed and kind of roll through everybody and not wanting to get off the power and lose pace and get caught out by somebody just attacking. I sort of decide to keep going just to catch this Swedish guy here, which was out in front. And while I'm still going pretty much as hard as I can, I know this flat section here, if I can keep it at about 5.5, 6.0, I will still have the power to kick once the rope goes up again. As it kicks up a little bit here, I use my steering. The fellows behind me have steering too. I don't see this as cheating in any way. And I kick one more time, and basically I'm doing this just to not have people attack me at this point here. I'm not thinking breakaway or anything. I'm actually getting ready for a sprint at this point. Then all of a sudden, I noticed that somebody's actually hesitating behind me. And this is when I'm completely in the red right now. And I know the second I get off the pedals, I'm not going to start this bike up again. So all I have to do is just basically go. I'm thinking I'm going to go as far as I can to the finish. And I'm going to get a podium, probably going to get out sprinted up here on the flats because I'm thinking people are holding something back. But I'm not sure whether or not they're starting their sprint too soon or whether they just don't have it, because I'm as shocked as anyone to see here that I actually end up winning this race. And like I said, I did not expect that. I kind of panicked early on the climb as I went too much out in front too early. And I just sort of got scared of what would happen if I took the pressure off the pedals. So I decided to keep going. And luckily for me, people just seemed to be caught watching for a little bit too long there. So really happy with this one.